Welcome to the show!
Are you lighting dumpsters on fire?
Last night was bad.
The whole plane smells like weed.
Those were the days.
It's a joke, you idiot!
He's like, oh, it was great. We used to live in the subway tunnels.
Good old innocent fun. Welcome back, everybody, to Troublemakers, the podcast where each week we bring on a guest and they tell crazy stories about their lives. I'm your host, Dylan Krasinski, coming at you from a beautiful day in Brooklyn. The sun is shining, the candles are lit, and we're ready to have a good time. With me, as always, is my co-host, the very handsome, the man with the mouth, the unscrutable Mike T. Kerrigan, everybody.
Yes, hello, how are you?
So you just lie to your audience.
What? He's a good guy.
You called him very handsome.
Hey, I'm not going to correct him on that, but that's what the comments are for. By the way, guys, rate, review, subscribe. We love those comments. Keep them coming.
Hey, yeah.
Rate his looks in the comments, 1 to 10.
Hey,
It's going to be all hairline stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Really? You know, I don't even. It's the hairline's not the first thing I notice.
Well, what do you notice?
I'm just kidding. You're beautiful.
I mean,
What's important is your soul is beautiful.
I don't think any of that matters in life.
We get comments being like, "Why is an 80-year-old man doing a podcast?"
Yeah, because I'm a real man. There's very few of you guys left out there.
Hey, before we get into it, if you guys listen, if you listen on Spotify, if you listen on Apple Podcasts, specifically on Spotify, leave us a review. A 5-star review really helps. I noticed that some of you are doing it. I really appreciate it. But if you listen, it takes 2 seconds. After you listen to an episode, just go down, give us a 5-star rating. And if you want, leave a comment. Say, hey.
Doesn't have to be 5 stars.
I like the pod.
It's however you feel about the podcast. Be honest with the
This guy has nothing to do. He's not involved in any way.
Christ.
Absolutely 5 stars.
Absolutely 5 stars. And guys, you've heard his voice. I mean, I don't even want to introduce him at this point. He's coming in with real bad energy.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm being negative.
Real bully energy.
I'm being a negative guy. I shouldn't be because I have so much positivity to give.
From a guy who complains about bullying so much, comes in with hot bully energy. But we love that about him. Guys, returning guest, second time on the pod, Boston native, New York City comedian, our friend, Jack Burke, everybody.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the pod.
The reason Jack's so cocky is because he's about to leave town, so he's going to start burning bridges.
Yes,
like a son of a gun.
It's the only way you leave a comedy scene.
I respect
Burn it
that.
down.
I respect that.
Yeah, burn it down, you know.
Burn it down, baby.
No, I did bring some negative energy at the top, but I promised to turn it around by the end, boys.
I mean, he's doing that corporate garbage. I was listening in on that phone call, and they're like, always charge him the most. Even if, who cares? I hate corporate. I hate everything about it. Everyone's passing the buck. You call the guy on the phone, you're screaming at him because the company's ripping you out. He's like, yeah, man, and it's like he's just a stooge. They're all that's the whole name of the game.
I mean, I'm grateful for the company I work now because the last company I worked for truly was like, it was just lying to people all the time.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
They're not going to listen to the podcast. You don't have to kiss their ass all the time.
No, I'm not kidding, dude. This company is like a dream send compared to the fucking last one. Okay. The last one I worked for, I was like just lying to immigrants all day about the price of vehicles. So it was truly horrible.
That's terrible.
Like 12-page contracts with super fine details. Reading to guys from Nepal that have never, don't speak any English and be like, you understand this, right? And they're like, yo.
Oh, my God.
It was bad. I mean, I was horrible. I was.
You were a taxi cab dispatcher?
I was a taxi dispatcher / in New York City, if you pick up if you get an Uber or Lyft, it's going to be a TLC driver.
Yeah, it
and
sucks.
A lot of them rent their cars, and it's usually like $400, $500 a week.
Yeah, that's why it's so expensive to take an Uber in New York City. It's unbelievable.
Well, the state is getting involved in that too.
The state's always the TLC's been around.
They want to
since
charge $23 to go over. Is it any bridge, or it might just be into Brooklyn? Ugh. So like Williamsburg Bridge, for instance, that cab ride from like that to Lower East Side's like $10. That's going to be add $23.
That's insane.
To that.
That's insane.
That's why I'm moving.
The city, there's no question about it, is a total ripoff, only getting worse. The leaders are, these leaders should be, at this point, you got to put them on the gallows.
How do you know it's getting worse?
Because I live here.
He's been here for years.
But people like, it's worse than it was in the 90s. No, it wasn't. It was not, dude.
It's worse than it was in the 2000s, and That's when 9/11 happened.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know if it's worse than. I don't think it's worse than the 90s in some ways, but it is in other ways. Like the chance of the subway is now like an attack open zone. You can just attack. Dude, there's stabbings every week. There's a stabbing.
But there's
and a
never
shooting.
not been stabbings.
Not at this level.
You don't know that.
Of course I do.
No.
Yeah, you can just look it up.
There's never been this many stabbings below 130th. Okay.
I'm talking about unprovoked stabbings. Like I'd say in the 90s, it was probably more gang. Like you were from the neighborhood. They knew you, or they were like, you were repping something. Now it's just like lunatics.
I think that the lunatics of New York City have always and will always be here, and you've never actually been safe.
You have, dude. Old school Giuliani sent them he sent them below the streets. He sent them, get below in the abandoned subway tunnels, and you can live there as long as you're not seen. You're fine.
Statistically, now it's the open that those prosecutors send you right out. Every guy that's convicted, these lunatics that are stabbing, they go, "Oh well, yeah, well we arrested him 30 times this month for what? Like violent assaults. You're out in a half hour. You could go knock an old lady out from behind right now. You'll be out in 40 minutes. What are you gonna do when you get out? You're like, I'm attacking the first people I see. They're like, all right, well, have a good day.
We'll see you in an hour.
Are you worried about like how panicky you're going to be in your 50s?
Oh, none of this scares me at all.
It doesn't scare you.
No.
But you talk about it in such like aggressive manner.
Because I'm younger. Like the old guys, like the cop got hit last night or the night before, retired cop. These kids come behind him, knockout game, but he didn't get knocked out this time and he chased him. But I'm like, dude, you can kill someone like that.
Wow.
I always think of like old people, like if like your parents were in the city, just walking, some kids punching from behind.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all for the best because they're just gonna. What's gonna happen is they're gonna push it so far. They're gonna kick all the Dems out, as they should, and hopefully get some good ones in there.
Yeah, dude, that would be a cold day in hell when New York City is red.
If they keep going at this level, it'll go.
No way.
It'll go, dude. They're starting to protest AOC already and call her out. She's not too well. Once you call her up on stuff, she's not that good.
Who is protesting OAC? Liberals.
AOC.
Who's OAC?
What did I say? OAC?
Yeah.
Yeah, look it up. Happened last night. The last
thing.
2 times she's had a. I know the people who did it.
The 6 people.
No, I've protested with them.
Yeah,
I protested Hillary Clinton and Hochul.
How'd it go?
It was awesome.
Do you mean Hochul?
Hochul, whatever.
Isn't it Hochul?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I just
I just worry that my only problem with the right is they just sound so angry and bitter. It's like, just chill. You sound so angry when you talk about it. It's like you're living in the moment. It's too much. It's like the world is on a good trajectory. We're gonna be fine, And if we're not fine, it's fine,
Thanks, Jack, for that word.
I think Jack's whole thing is not to stir the pot. It's such a Boston Catholic thing that like stirring the pot's the worst thing you can do. Like getting involved. Like don't get
getting
involved.
emotional over things you don't have control over is not with your time.
Okay, that's probably pretty good advice generally. I just don't get where I just don't trust your vote. I feel like you're like, just vote lib. Doesn't matter if the place is burned. I don't really like the hardcore right either because they're all frauds.
What do you think you are?
Everyone thinks I'm hardcore right.
He's a libertarian.
I voted for Obama. So the first time, which I would never do again. It's a total disgrace. Guy was a total fraud. Started 7 wars. Ron Paul would be the closest. I like what Ron Paul. I don't like intervening overseas. I don't like any of that shit.
What about Tulsi Gabbard?
Dude,
she's great, dude. You'd like her.
I don't.
She's like
I know
an
her pretty
independent
well.
now. She's great, dude. She's a military person. She's Hawaii. Like
she's Hawaii.
She's from Hawaii. I don't know if she's Hawaiian.
Have you ever been to Hawaii? You were just in Hawaii,
yeah,
right?
I've
She
been
is
there
Hawaii.
twice,
She is part Hawaiian and
it's pretty great.
Something else.
Yeah, she's like a military person. All not going abroad and starting wars overseas. You'd like that.
Yeah, but that's what they say. But she was in the military, so like I just don't trust that. Like AOC says she okay.
She also doesn't take. That's also lobbyist money.
A factor of the white that I really the right that I really love is like this.
Right,
I'm so right. I hate the troops. That's like the best right you can be,
dude. I don't think that is even a thing.
Mike is that.
What,
no.
that you hate?
Mike is so right that he doesn't trust the troops.
Dude, the troops have nothing to do with it. The troops have no say. That's why I hate. See, that's politician bullshit. You get like John McCain. I talked to a couple boys. They said, we want the win. We got to do it for those 5. So we got to invade Iraq for 5 guys because you were drinking. They said they wanted a win. Like, dude, they don't care about the soldiers. The soldiers are nothing to them. They don't
All right, this is the hottest politics that we've ever started this podcast at. This is, coming in hot with. I think people are turning it off. Probably.
I think they want to hear about this. It's a very. AOC is getting challenged for the first time, so we'll see if she's as good as they think she is.
The only people who are into this type of the podcast right now is probably my mom, and she's like, "Yeah, I want to hear more about this." But
to be honest, this is the best route for your podcast to blow up. It might just goes totally insane,
just red pill,
QAnon.
But people would be like, "Oh, you're right." So you're like Fox News. I'll watch different ones, but like I can't stand most of the people on Fox News.
Yeah,
Gutfeld. Jesse Waters.
You don't think Gutfeld's a crack
I like Gutfeld, dude.
None of those guys.
Funny guy, man.
None of those guys care. That's their career. That's what like people at home don't realize. They will push whatever. They don't care.
Of course.
I said that. I said it a couple episodes ago, but my mom's birthday, we went and I took her to a live taping of Gutfeld in the city.
Sick.
Dude, it was so funny. But I will say this guy definitely doesn't care. You know how most late night hosts, they'll come out and they'll talk to the crowd? Dude, this guy walked out, gave like a little wave, sat down, never addressed the crowd. As soon as it was over, he was like, "See ya," walked out.
Wow.
Like he's just it's a job. It's a job. He's like, he doesn't care. He's getting paid a ton of money to do his thing. And, listen, if this is the opinion that he's getting paid for now, I think he'll have it. And if the tides were to change, he'd probably change as well.
What's the most insane policy you would ever back for money?
Back for money?
Yeah.
Killing your firstborn child. If they gave me enough money, I'd support that.
God, you're soulless. Holy shit.
It's comedy, baby.
But that is like a policy overseas.
Oh,
that's like already happened. It's China.
Third trimester abortions.
Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? There was I read a story, and it's an unnamed ex-NBA player that apparently came out. Have you heard about this?
No.
He apparently came out and said LeBron James has been paid $1 billion by Nike to not talk about the Chinese government, to essentially stay silent about the Chinese government. And it's very under the radar. Don't know if it's true, but he's been paid $1 billion to not talk about the concentration camps that are currently happening in
Uyghurs.
China. What?
The Uyghurs are being killed, man.
Yeah, nobody.
You're not allowed to say that word.
I don't know much about it, but no one seems like some people. No one's doing it.
They're Chinese Muslims, and they're being put into like correction camps and dying.
That's crazy.
Not good, but we don't want to intervene, right? You don't want to start a war with China. That'd be a problem.
Yeah, you sound like all those guys who were defending Germany in the 1940s.
Well, it's complicated.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I've been talking about the Uyghur genocide for a long time now.
Really?
Yeah.
Many years, honestly. Because it was a running gag on my podcast for a long time.
Was it really?
Yes, dude, the Uyghurs.
Oh, that's so funny. I had no idea. Well, I did, but, that's an interesting. What do you think about that?
Did you ever consider joining the military?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right after 9/11.
Really? You were hyped up.
So so that's when I would have became the way that people would now, I guess, say I'm right. So I would have probably didn't care, but I would probably lean Democrat.
Yeah.
For because I believed whatever. And right after 9/11, I was going to sign up like the next day or the next 3 days or whenever. And then they said they were going into Iraq, and that was the day that it all. From that point on, I was against the U.S. government.
Did you ever consider joining the military?
Because I knew the Iraq thing. Once they told me that, I wasn't educated on it. I knew it was a scam. I go,
a scam.
Well, the guy wasn't from Iraq. I was like,
right.
And I remember one guy got up. This is one of the guys in the government. This was what he said. He goes, well, sometimes when you don't know what to do, you got to do something. So if you don't know who to invade, you just invade whoever, and it'll all work out from there. Like that type of stuff. Like when they're writing that down, they're like, they look at the people, they go, yeah, they're the dumbest idiots. Let's just say whatever. Like you could just fart into the mic and be like USA, and they're like, all right, let's get our boys behind this.
So you were cool with Afghanistan going after Osama, but once they brought up Iraq, you were like, you know what?
Well, then it all unraveled.
Fuck the troops.
Then it all unraveled, and I didn't believe any of it. I was like,
Jesus Christ.
Because I worked with a Muslim at the time who knew about Osama that day when it was bombed, and I was in Boston.
Knew about the bomb? Oh my God.
He knew all about Osama. He knew who he was. So the information they were giving us was false. I knew that. Yeah, we walked him home because it was that day he was working with us, and we didn't know if we didn't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
and he has like he looks like a Muslim. He doesn't look like a regular schmo. So he knew all about it, and he was like, basically he knew that. The
Sounds
US
like
was
if
lying.
he knew all about it, you shouldn't have walked him home. You should have called the authorities.
Yeah, they work for us, bro. They work for us. It's on record. The Osama,
right.
You didn't know that that they were business
Bin
partners.
Ladens?
That they're business partners with the Bushes.
I
can show you the pictures. This isn't not controversial stuff anymore.
No, I don't.
They're business partners.
This is, I guess, to be honest, this is the Troublemakers podcast. I mean, Osama bin Laden, probably the ultimate troublemaker.
That is true, dude.
He
I'd
caused
like to
some
see
trouble in
Osama
his
coming up
day.
here and be like, oh, it was a crazy time.
Dude, he's a pawn. He's a scapegoat.
Dude, can you imagine what I mean?
He had to roll in here with his like kidney bags and shit.
Take out the terrorist activity. I mean, what kind of crazy things do you think he was doing? Just like with like all the money he had, and just like,
Well, dude, they live kind of a strict life. The
think?
Muslim folks.
what about Saddam Hussein? I heard he was doing crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Really,
I mean, they're supposed to be living like a pretty strict life.
Really naughty
No
stuff.
tobacco, no alcohol. But he was into anime porn. Osama.
how do you know that?
That came out on his computer. Yeah. And when they found that in his computer, that was in Pakistan. What? Oh, Mike's getting pumped. Mike's like, it was in Pakistan, and they were business partners.
Dude, they're all Western educated, all these guys. They all go to school in England. Then when they show us this story, they show him in a cave. It's like, dude, he went to Oxford. Bro, you like, people know him. You know what I mean? Kim Jong-un, I think, actually was Western educated, possibly.
Yeah, there's like some hilarious photos of him in like a Danish school where
like
he's
a
like
frat party?
No, he's just like he just doesn't look Danish, and he's the only guy in the
Wait, are you
photo.
telling me that Kim Jong-un does not look like a Danish person?
No, he doesn't. Well,
He does look like a pastry, but other than that, hey,
a little puff pastry.
a little puff pastry.
That's funny. I don't know. What do you guys?
Bang, bang.
So what else is new?
Hey, thanks for coming on the pod, Jack. Just you.
I didn't
why don't
even
you
say
run
anything.
It? Why don't you run it?
I didn't even say anything. I was just curious. I think it's interesting that Mike can try and convince himself that he's not right wing. I just think it's like,
Well, because I'm not. I'm so against the old right with their war shit. Like that, I hated. So I was anti-Bush from like from 9/11 on, like super anti-Bush. Right. I used to get in trouble in Boston all the time because he was such a joke. Like he was just so dumb. He's in our face. They're just clowning us. But I'm against all their war, so I can't be
right.
Right.
You
right
hate
once,
war.
No, I'm not even against war. I'm against bogus war.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's times I feel like we wouldn't even fight if we needed to. They only fight for trash reasons.
That's.
How old were you when 9/11 happened?
I would have been 11. Yeah.
Oh, wait a
And
minute.
I was confused as hell because I was in 6th grade and I came home.
7th, maybe 6th. Actually.
Yeah. I came home early and I was pumped actually because that day was so beautiful, and I saw my dad's car was in the park. It was in like the driveway, which meant like usually when I'd get home, my mom would make us do chores, right? But if my dad was home early, it always meant like we weren't gonna have to do chores. So I was pumped. I came home, I was like, "Woo, no chores today!" And then they were watching it on TV, and I thought they were watching a movie, and they were like, "No."
Yeah, when it happened, I was in 6th grade, and they like lied to us. They said that it was a cloudy morning and a plane hit the building, and then like the younger kids left, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they were like, "No, we think it was intentional." And then, dude, it was so annoying. They wouldn't. This is history happening, and I get they're trying to like protect us, but they like hid the TVs. They like brought TVs out so the teachers could watch, and then didn't let any of us watch. It was insane. Like, that's history happening in the moment. It's like,
yeah, but they're not
watching
looking at
Pearl
that.
Harbor
It's pretty confusing.
and then like turning it off.
In the
Like,
moment,
no.
though, it's like it's very confusing, and they don't, people are jumping out of windows, and you're in 6th grade. They don't want to be showing that to kids.
Wow.
Dude, I was on a roof, and a guy came. I was in Boston, Cambridge or somewhere. Or no, I think I was in Watertown. This guy comes up. He goes, "Hey, man, they just bombed Boston." I was like on the roof. So I went up to like the next level of the roof, and I'm looking because I could see downtown. And I'm like, I don't see anything. So I think I went to get coffee or whatever time it was, and then it was on the TVs. And they're like, "No, it's New York."
So
I was
he
like,
was
wow.
just wicked wrong.
Way wrong. Of course, Boston, full like, hey,
Full
bro, they just
confidence.
bombed downtown.
How old are you, Mike?
42.
Probably
21.
19 or 20.
So you were you hungover on 9/11?
Oh, I know we got tanked that night. I'll tell you that right now. It wasn't like a celebratory drinking, but you go out to like meet your.
No.
My other, you always got a couple soft friends that are like, we need to console someone. It's like, dude, was he like, you know what I mean? It's like you're not even involved. But anyway, I was like, I'll go drinking.
I like that. In sobriety, sometimes people will talk about like, I just kept making excuses. Like I can't stop drinking now. Halloween's next week, or I can't stop drinking. My birthday's next. Today.
Yeah.
I gotta drink today, right? I couldn't take the day off. I like the idea of the guy who's about to quit. He's like, 9/11 just happened. I gotta drink.
Hey, you're 7 years sober, or 8 years?
8 years sober.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Do you do that? Do you do AA?
I go when I want to.
Yeah, so
I
you
go
go
when I need to. But I've been to maybe a couple meetings this year. It's very rare. But I like the book. I like the big book. I think it's a decent read. The big book is like the book that guides people through AA. And I don't know. There's certain lines in it that really stick out, like rigorous honesty. I remember the first time I read that, I was like, oh, I've never done that. I've just been lying.
Is that why you're such a dick to people now?
I'm just a dick to you and to Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not really a dick. I mean, I'm calling him ugly. Who cares,
You are the first person. Jack is the first person who will come in with that rigorous honesty energy, and then you start biting back at him, and he's like, "Come on, man, why are you being so mean?"
Well,
I'm a positive guy.
I'm living by rigorous honesty.
Oh, I'm living by rigorous honesty.
You're a liar.
I'm living by passive honesty.
How's working out going?
Great. I don't know why you would bring it up.
I'm just curious because
Pretty good.
just looking at your shirt, and I just am curious.
What does that mean, dude?
Have you been working out?
Yeah, I've been working out. I've gained some weight because I was away on vacation, and
It was 9/11.
And
I had to gorge.
it was 9/11, and I eat a cake every 9/11 for sorrow purposes.
No, where were you on vacation?
Hawaii.
Yeah,
I was,
no gyms there, definitely.
I was going to the gym, but you're eating and drinking every day, dude. Fuck you, fuck you, dude.
I'm sorry.
How you doing, dude? I noticed you're wearing a sweatshirt. Is it because you're so fat now, dude?
I feel like Jack's losing weight.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Like he's like stressed out probably.
I am stressed. But no, yeah. So I'm 8 years sober now, and it's been good. Mike, you're like what, 10 years?
More 15.
Yeah.
Wow.
You still do the weed though.
Sometimes I'll go off. I'll probably be off it again, but yeah, weed was never like. I guess some people. I remember hanging out with kids that were on pills or whatever, and they would be like, they would think about smoking weed, and I'd always be like, don't. I knew they didn't like weed because I knew those kids. I'm like, you don't even like weed. That's just so that you can. They break that line of weed is a drug to them. They're going to the OCs that week.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
weed was
definitely.
before drinking. I think I smoked before I drank. It doesn't. It's just not.
That's very similar though. Like I never liked weed, and I could probably smoke weed today and be like fine, but it would just be. I would feel shitty about it, and I would probably immediately be like, "Well, I just fucked up my sobriety."
Oh yeah. So yeah, that doesn't even cross my mind like that. But I don't see the need. I think it's one of those things we do get addicted to, and it's like.
I mean, you're out vaping, smoking cigs.
Nicotine is tough, man. Nicotine gets me.
Yeah.
What do you smoke? Cigs?
I go any sort of nicotine product, I'll take it.
You know what it is also, I'm imagining about nicotine? It's not like you don't feel this necessary, like, immediate urge to quit. Like, no one smoked too many cigarettes and then robbed a convenience store, you know? Like,
Right.
people have, like, done crack or been so addicted to booze that they've done stupid things. No one's, like, smoked cigarettes and then woken up in their own vomit in a bathroom.
Yeah, and you just look cool as hell, dude. You just look so fucking cool.
Dude, we got to get some cigarette sponsors for the pod.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't think they're allowed to sponsor
No.
anything.
It's illegal.
No?
No, it's
dude.
messed up.
We should get vapes. We should get
You
Juuls.
do you vape on your podcast.
No, I don't typically, but you brought it out.
I like it though. I like vaping. Vaping is less sexual though than cigarettes.
Less sexual? Okay. Sensual?
No, sexual. I think a cigarette is like genuinely sexual. I think people find it sexual.
I think because you've been brainwashed by the media and movies.
Probably.
I got
about
felt. You got me.
After, you know, in movies, after they have sex, then they smoke a cigarette. And that means, hey, we had a good time. So
Yeah.
now you associate smoking cigs. What does
Yeah.
your wife think about your nicotine habit?
She hates it.
Yeah.
But fuck her.
Wait. Are you gonna quit when you have a kid?
To be honest, like I haven't smoked a pack in a while. You know what? It's weird. My family smokes a lot, which is strange. My family, like, there's no alcohol at any of our parties or anything, but they all, there's like a communal aspect to smoking cigarettes. Yeah, on the porch.
Ripping butts.
And it's just really odd because, so my sister got married like 8 years ago. Okay. Right. And I was just getting sober, and it was like on this huge camping ground in you want to get it? We'll take a little
Jesus
break.
Christ. I mean, what are we doing, dude? No, you're in the middle of a story, dude.
Well, so basically, though,
out of control, dude. Mike's on his phone. I mean, what are you doing?
Nope, it's all good.
This is crazy. At least it didn't go off. Sometimes it would ring. It hasn't happened, thankfully, in a few weeks.
So we're at the wedding, right?
This is your sister's wedding.
My older sister's wedding, right? It's at this commune camping ground, beautiful campground up in Maine.
Nice.
And the man she's marrying is a great guy, but his family a little more proper, a little more fancy than ours. And I remember the Saturday morning before the wedding, there's like hundreds of people here, right? And their family has like this big yoga event where they all wake up at 8 o'clock, and it's like 35 of them doing yoga out at the sunrise.
Nightmare.
Doing sunrise yoga. That's his family. My family is watching them do yoga, smoking cigarettes. There's like 9 of them just staring, man. Like, what are they doing? But they're good people, It's just a different style of life.
I love that. Hey, one of those groups I'd want to hang out with way more than the other. And it would be your family.
Yes.
Okay?
Dude, I had a cousin die, and I remember instead of like flowers, people were dropping off cartons of cigarettes. It was down in Virginia.
That's over the line, I think. I feel like that's disrespectful.
It was crazy.
Did he die of lung cancer? That would be the worst.
No.
Oh, my God.
But cigarettes are very integral in my family, as you can see. Wherever there's a Burke, there's somebody smoking a cig, Did your family ever get into cigarettes?
No, my parents don't drink or smoke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Irish immigrants.
Yeah, I smoked when I was like 12 to 28.
Yeah.
And then I quit.
I mean, I don't think there are many families keeping it alive,
The cigs?
Yeah.
No, even my family that used to smoke, that used to drink, they were almost all of them out of cigarette. It became like unfashionable, even for like people like, come on, you still smoking?
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm gonna stick with it. I don't do it enough. Like when I'm really even smoking heavy, like when I was like smoking, I was smoking a pack a week maybe. Oh, so it's not like. So you're cool. That's fine.
Dude, it's at this point, it's a family tradition. I mean, exactly. Your kid's going to get into it. Your kid's going to get into it. I mean, down the line it goes.
You got a house now, so you'll probably be growing your own tobacco. Just have the Burks have a tobacco field.
That'd be great.
Dude, as long as you're not one of those douches who like rolls their own cigarettes outside comedy clubs, you know what I'm talking about? I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Just buy a cigarette like a normal person.
I don't know. I usually mooch off those guys, so I don't want to disparage them too much.
That tobacco is better because it doesn't go like, when you're smoking a Marlboro, it goes zzz. You ever hear it? And
it's
you're
like a chemical.
Yeah,
it's
you
just
can tell.
chemical.
Like, that's the uranium they were talking. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever smoked anything other than tobacco / you smoked crack?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Were you
Let's get into it.
I know you drank. Were you into drugs?
I don't think you talked about this on the last pod.
I was drinking, and whenever I was drinking, like the last couple of years, I was doing cocaine most of the time, and then I smoked crack a few times, and that part was like, that was when things got a little out of control, Mike. Were you doing coke?
At the very end, like not the very end years, I stayed away from it. And looking back on it, once coke hits the scene for me, like the real fun is over. Like the parties are so much better when the coke's not there, dude. The conversations are insane. It's like everyone's talking about what they're gonna do, and you're like, dude, you're not doing anything with yourself.
I just totally disagree.
Oh, I hated those.
I thought it was so fun because I also was like, I'm like a process guy. So like towards the end of the night, when you would like find your other friend who you knew like cocaine, and you're like, I got $60. Do you know how to get cocaine? And he'd be like, yeah. And then you're like, you just start texting people. Every night you would start off in college, at least, would be like, let's get drunk and let's find women, right? And then within like 4 beers, it was like, let's get drunk and find cocaine, you know? And so then we would like, you just find that other two guys and you're like, let's get a bag. And then you're up until the wee hours, and it's all about like opening it up and you putting out the little line, sharing with each other. It's just such a beautiful communal moment. Again, you know, it's like cigarettes with your family.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, sure.
You didn't like it? You don't?
I never did it, to be honest.
You've never done coke?
No.
I did not enjoy it.
You didn't enjoy it.
Looking back,
you would
on
be
it.
so fun though. On
No,
coke.
because you get weird on it. You're like,
You're already
you
weird.
can't laugh. You're like
Yeah.
robotic. Everyone's just.
Well, you can't laugh on coke?
I was laughing all the time.
I'm sure.
Oh, not me. I
laugh
remember
all the time.
some guy, I was telling jokes or something. These guys were coked up, and they're like, "Dude, that's so funny. Say that again." You're like, "You don't look happy right now." They're like insane.
9 jaw.
If the coke was so good, why'd you stop?
Oh, because it's horrible. It's so bad. When
What about the anxiety? Did you get that the next day?
Yeah,
definitely.
I get that from
Definitely.
booze, so I can't even imagine what it would be like.
I remember when I was like, I left. So in the Caribbean, when I moved down to St. John, the cocaine was like super cheap because it's like one of the first places that comes through is the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And so it's so cheap and it's like amazing, right? And so I was really doing it like pretty much every day at the end there. And I remember like flying to Miami because before I left for Australia or whatever, and I just was like sitting on the plane and just blood just like pouring down my nose, and I was just like, oh god, I'm glad I'm getting out of there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I just would get these like, when I stopped doing that, I was just getting these really bad nosebleeds, and I was like, yeah, that was becoming like really pretty bad. You know, doing cocaine like before you got on the plane, it was crazy.
Oof.
Oh yeah, I definitely wasn't in that category. I think I did. I think I may have done it one time sober, and then I was like, oh, I hate this. This is very
Interesting.
We just had so much fun with it.
What was the crack like?
The crack was
How did you get into it? How did it happen?
Yeah. You want the story
I want
on
the
it.
story,
It's being a
baby.
troublemaker.
Yeah,
I was being
baby.
a troublemaker. So
Hey, smoking crack, I mean, that's a loose way to put it. A troublemaker.
more like a troubled person.
More like an unwell citizen.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was being a bit of a troublemaker. No, I was living out in Australia at the time, and I was in this town called Monteau, which is like a few hours west of Bundaberg, right? Which is a few hours north of Brisbane. So like it's out there, right?
Yeah.
And it was a town of I think like 1,000 people, maybe 800. And basically when I got to Australia, I had a friend who was like, you can live with me and I can get you a job. And I was like, all right, cool. And I got there and she was like, my roommates actually don't want another roommate, and I didn't realize there was a slow season, so I like can't get you work. And I had $1,000, right?
Holy shit.
And so the roommates were nice enough to be like, we'll give you like 10 days or something. And so
That's nice.
yeah. So then I was like panicked, right? So I'm like applying to all these places. I'm trying to figure it out because like I don't have enough for a deposit on anything. Like I can't like rent a room. And so one of the roommates actually was like, there's a hotel where they take backpackers and I think they pay for like food and board or whatever.
It's not bad.
And so I called and the woman was like, if you can get here, you can have the job. And so I was like, all right, sweet. There's one bus a week that goes out there on Thursdays from Bundaberg. So I was like, I got to get there. And it's like $400 a week plus, free food and board. And you work at a bar, so you get to drink too. And so it was kind of sick, dude. So I get there and I'm like, it's so sketchy. I'm the only guy on the bus, right? At one point, the guy's like, the bus driver's like, all right, well, I'm gonna let's stop and get lunch, or let's stop and get dinner. It's like getting dark, and he like pulls up. We sit at the bar together. There's like, it's very weird.
It's like, hey man, you're the bus driver, not my new friend.
But it was such a remote place where it's like, it would have been weirder if I was like, let's go sit at different tables, And so, and that was like the last, like where we stopped was like the last big town before we got to the little town, right?
Holy shit.
And so then we go out and finally he drops me off at the bottom of the hill and he's like, all right, I'm going to continue on, I think the Albert, where the hotel I was working at, is just up the hill. And so he's like, see where the light is? That's the hotel. And so there's not like, It felt like a scene, out of The Exorcist, where there's just like that one lamppost on.
Yeah.
You're in, God knows where I am at this point. And there's no one around. There's no like people being like, oh, it's a very quiet place. And so I walk up there. They're like, there's a couple people at the bar, and they're like, oh, you've made it. You're good. And I was like, so grateful. I had $15 left. So I was like, yes, dude. It was amazing, right? And then my first night goes super poorly. Like I black out, and this is the second night. Second night I was there. So when you're new backpacker, the town is excited. They're like, ooh, I was the first American they'd had in like 10 years, something like that. And so they were like,
really making a good name for us there, Jack.
Yeah, dude. So I get fucked up the second night, right? And it's right after I serve all the guys at the bar. They've got like a little rugby club, and they all come in. I get them all fucked up, and then I go. They're like, "Oh, come back to our place after you close up." I'm like, "No problem." I go up. I get blacked out. I start like stealing their beers, right?
Stop, dude. Second night there.
Yes, I'm wasted, and then I freaking broke into like the bar's pantry, and I like ate like all these chips that like. I'm like making a very bad first impression.
Oh,
very
God,
bad.
dude. Yeah.
And so there's like chips everywhere. It's like a mess. And it was just it was not good. The next day, Diane, who runs the place, we become very close by the end, but she was like, mate, I don't know what the hell was going on with that. We're not doing that shit and all this stuff. She was pissed. And then the rugby club guys start coming in and like, buddy, we'll fucking bury you out here if you talk to us like that again, like all this shit. And I was I was just blacked out. I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, my God.
But I was scared, dude. I was sweating. I was so panicked. It was like a horrible feeling because I knew if they knew me, they would like me. Like if we got to hang out, we would have fun. But they're like really like, fuck this guy, Yeah. So it takes a little bit of time. A couple weeks go by. I've become pretty close with everybody. And then I'm like, we're friends. I'm like shooting the shit. They're like the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Mm-hmm. One time they brought me out to skin a sheep, and like you would have loved this guy. This like 70-year-old guy in the outback. He's basically just like asking me questions about foreign policy. He's like, hey, why don't they just fucking nuke the whole Middle East, mate? Why don't we be fine out here? They should just nuke it and start over. I was like, you know what? I'm going to save your number. There's a guy I meet in 3 years that will love you.
Oh, I'm totally not on board with this.
And then, so nonetheless, though, I'm getting invited to like these little parties, and there's a couple of the guys on this team in this town that are like, they're intense, right? They're intense dudes, and there's this one kid who's like, he scares the hell out of me. When he gets drunk, he gets that glazed look where he's he's like, he might stab you,
Yeah.
So I'm terrified of him, but I befriend, which is kind of my go.
Classic.
Yeah, I befriend. And so he starts inviting me over to his place after, and I'm like scared to say no. So I'm going over there. And then, dude, we're just getting drunk one night. And I'd heard he does drugs, and I was interested. And so then he like pulls out this like glass pipe, and he's like, do you want to smoke this? And I'm like, well, what is it? And I'm like wasted at this point too. And he's like, well, it's crack. And I was like, okay. And dude, I had to admit, like immediately when I saw like the smoke like coming into the little like the little bottle at the end, or what the little glass pipe thing, and it like hit my lungs immediately. I was like, oh, this is wild. I was like, my life is getting out of control. I really felt that, like, wow, my life is really getting out of control. And then, I just get fucked up. I smoke a couple more times with him during that night. And then the next day I wake up, because then I just get like fucking wasted, right? I just end up getting like...
So it didn't sober you up?
No, dude, I was drunk as hell. So I smoked it, and I did for a little bit, but then I just kept getting drunker and drunker. Because they kind of knew too. I was like, I might not sleep for a week, so I better get going. Yeah. And so, nonetheless, I wake up the next day, and I am deathly sick. I am like, I couldn't make it downstairs to work the pub. My friend, who was also a backpacker, she had to work my shift.
Wow.
And I'm like throwing up everywhere. I have like hives, and I'm like, this is the worst I've ever felt. I'll never do that again. I'll never do it again. I start to feel better throughout the day. I drank like 3 or 4 beers, and immediately I went back to his house, and we smoked again that night. And then I think we did like a couple more after that, But I was pretty sure at that point, I was like, when I get home, I'm probably going to have to reconsider my life.
Oh, wow. I thought in Australia, but I could be wrong. I thought drugs were like super illegal.
They are. So I just met with the owner of the pub. She was in New York recently.
Yeah.
And I was asking about all the different, how are the guys at the pub? And like literally every person I asked, she was like, they're doing terrible. And I asked about that kid, and she was like, oh yeah, mate, he's in jail. Jail for a couple years now. And so it's very bad.
Did she tell you what he did?
I think it was drug stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a joke down from what I can hear.
I could have been in trouble, but then again, dude, we're in a town of there was one cop for like a giant territory, like hundreds and hundreds of miles, right?
Damn.
And I remember there was a bar fight one night, and I called the cop because it was like getting out of hand. And I called the cop, and he's like, "Oh well, I'm a couple hours out, so if you could just wait till tomorrow, I can come do a report then." I was like, so, "They're beating each other. Like, what do you want me to do?" You know,
They're beating each other.
Yeah. My glasses got knocked off. I sounded like the kid from My Girl. I was like, "My glasses, my glasses." He can't see without his glasses.
Oh, such a bad movie.
No. Have you been to Australia?
No.
Right? Any? Do you want to go?
I would. It's a long flight, right?
Yeah, you got to go for a little bit of time.
You got to go for like a month, I bet.
And the food sucks.
Does it?
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm a big food person when I travel. I do like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it very much.
No, I'm sure I would. I would like it. Yeah. I'm much prefer a London. I went. That was great. I loved London. Hawaii, obviously. I like Aruba. I haven't really been anywhere crazy though. Like Italy was really fun, but again, it's like a big food place. You're walking around. The fucking gypsies, though. I mean, to hell with them all.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're criminals. They all just rob you. They throw you. Dude, that was something that we saw. The gypsies there in Italy, they all got a scam. They're all scheming and they got a scam for money. So when we were in Rome, they do this thing where they sit there with like a baby. They hold a baby and they're like crying and they're like, oh.
I've seen that.
And then what they do is it's not their baby. It's a rented baby from one of the other gypsy hordes, or it's stolen.
It's like the TLC cars, $300, $400, $500 a week.
Exactly. And then when you walk over, they throw the baby at you, and then other people come in and pickpocket you, and they run off, and now you're just holding a baby.
And
that is so not true, dude. That is such a lie.
It happens in Italy all the time.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. I studied abroad there. I never saw that once.
Dude, it happens in
we
Italy.
never know anyone who's looking, they're like, hey, we're having trouble adopting. Like, hey, just go there. I'll throw babies at you. Yeah. And then you rob. There would be like a gypsy war. They'd be like, he robbed us of the baby. We want the. That's our scam baby.
No takebacks.
Scam baby.
No takebacks, dude.
You say it happens all the time.
They are criminals. They're a daddy people.
Yeah, I mean, there's
put
some
it on record.
Gypsies is very interesting. You guys know anything about them?
Yeah, they're criminals.
No, but you know the original story of them?
They used to hide their gold in the wagons during the Holocaust. Yeah.
No, but the original gypsies are from India.
Killed in.
No, but a lot of them who like made it out, they would hide their gold. My buddy of mine is from Romania, and he said there's an area in Romania. It's disgusting. He said it's the worst part where all of these gypsies, they have these mansions.
I don't even think you can say gypsies anymore.
Why?
I think they're called Roma.
All right.
Or travelers, depending. In Ireland, it's travelers.
Hey, Jack, why don't you shut up? Correct me in the comments if you can't say gypsy.
You can't.
You know what?
Technically, as a white guy, if we were to adhere to the rules, they'd be like, we'd just rather if you didn't talk at all. Could you just be like this? And if you could hit yourself every once in a while.
Dude, but listen to this. So a buddy of mine, he is from Romania. He was born in Romania. That's his family is Romanian. Grew up in Israel. And then moved to the United States.
Cool.
And but he said in Romania there are these like towns of all gypsy people where they have a lot of money that they were able. I think he said like after World War II, a lot of them were paid out because like if you had money and stuff stolen from you, the government paid you back. So a lot of them like were paid a lot of money, but they also like some of them like hid gold like in their wagons, hid their money like really well. So they have these. They moved in. And bought these mansions where this whole area, it's all these mansions, and there are gypsies that live there. But dude,
this is a fever dream.
Dude, the way they live in these mansions is like they would live in the woods. He said they'll leave the doors open and you'll just have like donkeys walking through the house and shit. Dude, he said it's nuts. It's terrible. He goes, people from Romania hate the gypsies because they like.
Yeah,
they
the
give
gypsies
it
have had a hard
bad
time
name.
in Europe in general.
Well, they give it a bad name.
I think 1 million of them were killed in the Holocaust.
Not all the gypsies look like Brad Pitt, okay, in Snatch.
Well,
all
see,
right?
they're not blood related to the original gypsy.
Yeah, what you wanted to talk about?
Well, they're supposed to be from India. They were like a specific group.
Yeah,
But
something like that, yeah.
it is weird wherever they go, like because the Irish gypsy has been genetically tested. He's not a gypsy. He's
Just Irish.
Irish, if not more closer to
You talking
the
about the
original
boxer?
Like the guy you were talking about, because I used to see them in Ireland. They're not related to the Romanian gypsy, but somehow that like
They just
must have,
love the culture.
Yeah, it comes in, and then there'll be a group of people in every country that kind of get, or they do mix a little blood. But like the original gypsy was very dark.
Mix a little blood.
Yeah, that's how the world works. I don't know why.
It's just such a weird
Such
way
a
to put it.
weird way to describe someone having children.
Yeah,
Mix a little blood.
yeah. That's how we come together.
Okay, Adolf.
How's the blood mixing going, Dylan? You getting out there?
What?
You haven't getting any pussy?
Jesus, I don't respond to such vulgarity.
Mike, what about you? Do you want to get married? You're
No.
40.
No.
You don't want a woman?
No, and the older I get, the more I'm satisfied with that.
So you're gonna let the government take care of you when you're in your 70s?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, dude, that's tough. You got to have kids because I always see like if I see an old person without a wedding ring, I always get sad.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're like, oh, that person's probably going home to their like
Dude, do you know what
studio apartment.
do you know what the
like,
odds of you
making
becoming old and married are?
Like SpaghettiOs or something. The fucking nobody to call.
Yeah.
The nieces and nephews have stopped calling years ago.
For sure, they
You know,
do.
They
I
got
stopped
their
calling
own
mine.
kids.
Do you know if your woman, and I don't know if your lady's college educated, do you know what the chances of her leaving you are?
I don't really want to know.
Yeah.
Say it.
They 90%. Not 90%.
So we gotta
Not
sad.
90% she's going to leave you, but 90% of the time that's how it is. They college educated.
So we shouldn't be educating women.
I mean,
If we want to promote marriage.
What's the
what are they
stat
being
on,
educated in though?
Well, college educated, you said they're more likely to divorce.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you're trying to be married, have a family, yeah, absolutely
Gotta
not.
find a dumb.
No, these
dumb-
girls, dude, they're it's all a scam. You
What's
go
a
to-
scam?
they're not-
Marriage is a
This
scam.
is Mike.
No,
saying.
I'm pro marriage. I mean, this
Right,
whole
but
like the
except
whole
for
college,
yourself.
the whole college thing is like it was all sold back on like Mary Tyler Moore. That's how like the whole, and she was this like big powerful businesswoman, right? You know, she's like running the show. She's
Yeah.
in like Versace. The rest of these girls are working behind computers now, making 40 grand, 40 years old, no kids. You know, it's not.
You know where she lived? Minnesota. Mary Tyler Moore, Minnesota.
What?
He was in Minnesota getting pussy recently.
No,
That's why it's on his mind.
Okay, relax. Mary Tyler Moore lived in Minnesota. That's where like the show took place, and they have a big statue of her there. Dude, I know what I'm talking about.
You know where I get
know
most
it.
of my relationship advice? He's dead now. What was the guy? I always remember his name. No, Stewart. Like Michael Stewart, or he's a black guy with glasses.
You're talking about Samuels.
Yeah, Samuels.
Dude, I actually have a funny. So
He breaks him down. That's what women crave.
Okay,
that.
This is actually okay.
Ladies, if
So-
you're still listening, we do not all
No,
agree
Kevin
with that.
Samuels. Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was doing the Lantern like 3 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
T.I. comes in. T.I.
Oh
the,
my
the
God,
rapper,
yeah.
right? And he's
I saw
like,
you taking a picture with him
Of
like a little
course,
bitch, dude.
dude. Very famous man. And I wanted a photo. It's a very weird experience too. So T.I. comes in with his like whole group of friends, and
So weird.
it's like, and he has to do some time, and you know, everyone's like, sure, it's for T.I. You
It
know,
would have been hilarious to just watch him.
to
How'd he do?
So I did watch him, right? So I was curious as hell, right? And to be honest, like the first 5 minutes, first 3 minutes, he like, you know, the man's performed in front of thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of people. He's not nervous to be on stage, right?
Yeah.
So he's like doing all right. Like his first joke was like, you know, there's 15 people at the Lantern,
Yeah.
right? His first joke is like, oh, I don't know, you might have heard this, but I got booed at the Barclays in front of 40,000 people. So this can't go worse than that. Right?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it's a good line.
That's
It's
funny.
a little bit of humility, right? Pretty funny. And yeah, he has like some jokes about, you know, like naming your sin king and how that's a big mistake. It is funny, right?
Your son King?
yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah. And not to like blow up his spot. I don't know if he's releasing a special. I don't want to, burn
I'll
his
do
material.
it, dude. Who gives a fuck? Just do it.
So then
he's not a real comedian. The rules don't apply.
He has the crowd, all right? Like they're interested. He does do this one thing that's insane. Every time he says the punchline, he takes the mic stand and he smashes it on the thing.
I've seen that.
It was wild every time.
Oh god.
And he does. Oh, this is a side note. At one point, he's got his whole crew is in there, right? One of the guys is on the side of the stage, and he's like laughing with them. He answers a phone call while he's doing it, whatever. T.I. doesn't get bothered by that at all. He just moves on. Then the guy starts interacting with him. They have a little bit of back and forth. He's like, oh, I know who you're talking about. And T.I.'s like, I know. And they're laughing about it, right?
This is just one of his crew?
One of his crew, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Then once the guy is like still trying to like go back and forth, and then T.I. goes, okay, that's enough out of you now. And the guy just goes dead silent. Like you wouldn't believe like how quickly he shut up once T.I. was like, that's enough. Right.
Oh,
so then
man.
T.I. though, he's doing fine. And then he starts to get into his thicker stuff, right? And so then he's talking about his relationship with the little Boozy, right? And it's like, okay, well, this is for, 10% of the population, maybe.
Sure.
Like majority of people don't know who Boozy is,
Yeah.
So that's like a little bit of a, that's not going to do it with a lot of people. And then this is when it really started to take a turn. He goes, and I'm just got to say, like, the world hasn't been the same since they assassinated our brother Kevin Samuels. Which is just so funny to me because it's like,
so funny.
Not only is that such a unique reference that like nobody in like most stand-up audiences are never going to know who the fuck that is, right? That's for like a million people, in
the world.
In the world, right. And then he also like this is his like 15th set and he's already into conspiracies.
To say he was assassinated.
Yes.
The guy had a heart attack having sex with a lady.
Why did he have a heart attack? Because he wasn't like, was he a drug addict?
People have
because he's
heart
like
attack.
He's probably in his 60s and just like he's overweight and like
dude, he's not overweight.
Yeah, he was. He was
Maybe
not
I'm thinking of a different guy.
No, I'm not, dude.
He did not look overweight when I seen him.
He was older. People just die sometimes. There's no like who was trying to shut up Kevin Samuels?
I mean, probably now we're on the exact same people who just banned Sneeko and
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate, those people.
Oh, okay. You know what?
What's
I
Sneeko?
stand corrected. He is not overweight.
No, Sneeko is Sneeko started taking over. You know when Take got banned? So Sneeko was a younger kid who was working with them, and he kind of took the torch. And he just the exact same format in that room.
Kevin
and then
Samuels.
they canceled him like 3 days after.
Yeah, but they're not assassinating these people. They're not. No. Nobody assassinated Kevin Samuels.
Look at that. He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, no, definitely. But you can be good-looking and in shape and have a heart attack in your 50s and die.
Sure.
You could. I mean, it's more common now. So
it's more common that you would
after the vaccine.
die. Oh God damn.
Well, that's proven.
You think Kevin Samuels is getting the vaccine?
Oh, I have no idea. That's the problem. When the vaccine first came out, that was a big thing. To people who would listen, I go, this is such a problem because we're never going to be able to track. Like if things happen like they actually have now with blood clots and heart attacks, they're gonna be like, well, that's just normal now, and you'll never be able to pinpoint what's what. And down the road, people are gonna be blaming that. Watch if one person wins a lawsuit, everyone will jump on board. They'll be like, oh yeah, that's why I have arthritis because of this thing. And it's like maybe not.
You didn't get boosted? Did you ever get the vaccine?
Absolutely not, dude. Absolutely not.
We talk about this every goddamn episode.
You know it. You know they just admitted that they knew when they released it. They knew 100%. Never tested it. That it wasn't going to stop the spread.
Dude, I just trust the government. So
I know you
do.
I think you just do it because you. I don't think you do trust.
I think
them.
you did it because you want to bother
I think deep
Mike.
down, all the stuff I say, and you're just like, I don't want to be. I think it would bother you. It doesn't bother me. It would bother
what
me.
bothers me?
Like if you thought any of these things were real, it would like haunt your mind.
No, I just when it came to the vaccine, it was like
there was no way
We're gonna get a COVID warning now on our fucking Spotify. All right,
that'd be good. That's good. You want controversy?
I want to ask you this because we only got like 6 minutes left. But
was this good? I don't know. I feel like I didn't do
really
good.
bad, dude.
Was it bad?
No, it was fine. It was good. It was good.
It was all right.
Other than our fucking first 15 minutes talking about politics. I mean, what a fucking nightmare. No, the Australia bit was really good. I want to hear the story where you were talking about your shoe or jumping out a window. that we were talking about?
Yeah. So
I want to hear this story, dude.
This is also like I on my Instagram I posted a photo because I was celebrating a year of sobriety, and I posted a photo of the second floor store that I fell out of, and
that was the place.
That was the place, right? So I lived in a frat house in college, and it was my sophomore year, and I came back a weekend early because I was excited to move off campus.
Yeah.
It was like New Hampshire. There's only like there's about like a month and a half of nice weather before it's like fucking freezing. Yeah. So it's just super high energy. It's so exciting to be there. And you're a sophomore now. I feel like it's hard to like, women just always want to date older when you're younger, you know?
Yeah, it's natural.
Yeah. And so you're like, you think you're going to walk in freshman year and be like, I'm the man. And then it's like, no, dude, you're just the one like nobody gives a fuck about you. And so I was like, this is going to be a big year. I'm going to have an awesome time. I'm going to do super well with the chicks, and I'm going to drink a lot. It's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
And so it's the first weekend, and I go to a quarry like with this group of people, and we go quarry jumping, and it's fun or whatever. And then I remember this girl, like, we got back, this girl started making fun of me, and I like couldn't handle it. I just
what was she saying?
She was just being mean. She was calling me a pussy and like a bitch and stuff. And I was just like, I couldn't handle it. And then I had given a upperclassman money. I said, can I get a 30 rack? And he came back with a bottle of Captain Morgan 100 proof. And he was like, sorry, I just wanted to get you this instead. And I was like,
what a dick.
And I had known I already knew that I was like when it came to hard liquor, it was going to be a bad night. I got the bottle. I was like, well, this is going to be bad. And it was. So before I start drinking out of that bottle, I chug a 40 ounce because I don't like the taste of hard liquor. So I'm like, I'm going to need to be able to lube up a little bit. I chug a 40 ounce in like literally probably a couple minutes, not even. And then I just start taking swigs out of the bottle, right? And I'm so blacked out, dude. I don't even, and it all was because this girl like made me feel bad. I was like, I'm not a fucking loser. You're a fucking loser. And then the last thing I kind of remember is like stumbling everywhere, right? And then I remember maybe smoking like a little bit of a spliff or something. And then it was total, like the frat house was disgusting all the time. And the second floor bathroom, right, had these windows that went all the way to your ankles, right? Okay. So they were huge windows. Like it was ridiculous. Maybe not your ankles, but like midway through your calf, right? And there was no what's the word that you like the not the
screen?
Window? Yeah, there's no window screen, right? And so I don't know what happens at this point, right? But this is what my theory is, right? I'm pissing in the toilet, and I must have swayed back and forth and just fell out the window. What I remember is waking up in the hospital, and my mom, I like looked to my side. I've got like IVs in my arms and shit, and I'm like wicked groggy. I looked at my side, and my mom's sitting there, and she's crying.
No.
And then I just was like, oh fuck, and I passed back out, right?
Oh no.
And then I wake up a few hours later, and they're like, you fell out the window. They found like my shoes like had flown off me, and like I had a very tiny cut, but because I was so drunk, I had like blood like all over my face.
Oh God, dude.
And basically I was in the parking lot of the fraternity, and there's next to it was like a campus area that security was driving through, and like late at night they like pulled the corner and they just saw me like splayed out.
Oh,
and
shit.
So they like called the ambulance or whatever. And I remember, so then I'm like, I'm still drunk in the hospital.
My God.
I had a 0.38. Like I was very wasted, right?
Yeah.
The doctor was telling me that like it was a good thing that you showed up. It was a good thing you fell out the window because your heart was moving so slow. Like, you know, and sometimes I think about it. Like,
did they pump you?
Yeah, I think they pumped and just IVs. But I remember thinking like, I could have just gone to bed that night and woken up the next day and be like, whoa, buddy, wild one. You know, but so I wake up.
Do you think you would have died that night if you didn't?
I don't know,
Probably not.
but my heart
not.
was moving pretty damn slow, they said. And like, but then he was like, it was a good thing you were that blacked out when you fell out the window because your body was so like dead.
That's what they say about drunk drivers.
I didn't
They're
tense up
always
at
the
all.
ones that don't get hurt.
I've seen that happen in real life.
And I fractured my hip and my pelvis.
Oh, dude.
It was pretty painful.
That's brutal.
But then, within like a few weeks, I was fine. Like, I was on crutches for a little while, but I was all right. And it was funny, though, because, like, then the next week is when all the kids come back to school. And everybody's like, did you hear about the kid who fell out the window? Like, people are talking about the kid who fell out the window. My had friends go to UNH, right, which is like this over, like, an hour and a half over Keene State.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, people are talking about the kid who fell out the window. And one of my like good friends was I hadn't even met him yet, and then like midway through that year, we were drinking in my room, and he goes, "Did you hear it?" He was telling the story about the idiot who fell out the window, and I was like, "That was me." And he's like, "You are that fucking idiot." Now we're like best friends. But it was pretty bad, dude. And I remember like after that, I was like, "Oh well, I'll." It's funny because immediately I was like, I need to put some rules around my drinking. So I'm not going to, no more hard liquor. No more hard liquor, right?
How long did that last?
It lasted actually a few years. There was a few years where I was like, I didn't drink hard liquor because I knew it would be a problem. But then I also, and I stopped blacking out for a few months, but I also had started doing cocaine. So it was like,
there it
just
is.
one thing for the next, right? But, it is what it is. You just got to be careful if you're a blackout drunk.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's the worst, man.
Yeah,
good
it is
Lord.
just the worst.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Pretty bad.
God. Well, dude, we just hit an hour.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
This is good, man. This is good.
I feel like maybe I was a little retarded with the oh shit. You shouldn't talk politics.
Well,
I think it's fine. That's just something they said in a movie, and people.
It's not-
you're just burning the bridge.
most
You're burning the
people-
bridges before you leave the scene.
Right.
It's the way to go. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap?
No, I think that's all right. Do you guys feel good about it?
I feel good.
How was it as good as Ray's or a little worse or?
Ray had a lot of good stories.
Ah, damn it.
A lot
dude.
of quick hitters.
Quick hitters. Yeah, mine are a
Yours
little
were
more
good.
draw.
Dude, I like that though. I like
Damn
that
it,
about you.
dude.
You didn't listen to Ray's episode?
No, I don't listen to the pod.
Dude, come on. All right.
I do watch the clips though.
Clips are good.
And I say, you had that chick on? Why the fuck would you have her on?
Shut up. Who? I don't. Dude,
I'm
you
just
causing
kidding.
trouble,
I'm kidding.
dude.
I'm kidding.
Come on.
We're having fun.
All right. Tell them where they can find you.
Instagram, that's fine.
Are you going to give them your handle?
Well,
or
Jack
anything?
Burke is my name. Just look up Jack Burke. And,
All right,
you know.
Jack's worse than me. He goes Instagram. That's fine. I'm
Michael,
there.
give it to
Mike
him.
T. Kerrigan.
Dylan
Instagram.
Krasinski on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. At Troublemakers on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Guys, give us a rating, review, subscribe. If you listen on Spotify, again, just give us 5 stars. Leave a little comment. We'd love to help that. That's great. It helps pump the podcast. Gets more ears and eyes. We
like
love
the
it.
pod, 5 stars.
Yeah, that's all we care about. And we care about your happiness.
And if you're a beautiful woman, send nudes.
Send nudes. Sure.
That's cool.
Hell yeah. Not to Mike, because he'll report you. But to me, I take them. All right, baby. We'll see you next week. Good night.